Hello, cuties. Welcome to yet another episode of Brown Girl Unscripted. Y'all might be wondering, why are we virtual today? And the reason is today's guests are from the West Coast, baby, okay? We have Kayma, Wolday, and we have Olivia Rose Thomas, the founders of Inspired Delusions. Welcome to Brown Girl Unscripted, queens.
Hello.
Oh,
Thank you.
we are so happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you guys on. We are all about a Delulu mindset around here.
We love dreaming big, being delusional. We're really excited to chat.
To give you guys a bit of an overview, they basically run a podcast called Inspired Delusions and a social media community where they help people essentially build their dream lives, get whatever the hell they want in life, and love themselves. And that's what I'm all about on Brown Girl Unscripted as well. So we thought, why not chat about it and have everyone dream bigger and bigger?
That was such a lovely intro.
That was so spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So to start out with, I would love to hear about what inspired you guys to start this, right? Because I mean, right now on social media, everyone's talking about be Delulu, do this, do that. But within the self-development community, I feel like there's a lot of subsets of like, it can be a lot of improving yourself. And then that turns into maybe not so dreaming big and kind of not liking yourself. So how have you guys found a way to talk about this in a way that's like, just be happy and dream big? Like, I'd love to hear about your side of it.
Yeah. Do you want to start?
Yeah. So a little more background. Olivia and I are best friends, and we would always find ourselves having conversations of like hyping each other up, spirituality, manifestation, quantum physics, all of the things. And we were like, stop. We need cameras on us and mics right now. We need everyone to hear this. So that's kind of how the idea of starting a podcast got brought up. But yeah, just wanting to share all the knowledge we have, because we have so much knowledge over the past like 5 years that we've been really putting together from all things manifesting, all things spirituality. And we realized that when we were together and we were having these conversations, we were becoming even more delusional, hyping each other up, getting really excited as one does with any of their friends. And we realized that sometimes when you're starting off in the like spiritual space or in the manifesting space, you might not have other people around you who are very delusional. So we wanted to kind of be that resource for other people.
Yeah. And we would always, talk to our friends and talk to people around us or random people that we meet. And we would always they would always tell us that after hanging out with us for, an hour or however long, that they were encouraged to think bigger and be more positive and be more delusional. And it's like, if we were to hang out, like if we kept hanging out with someone multiple times, they like definitely every single time raised their vibration, raised their mindset, and became more delusional. And so, that was another reason why we wanted to start the podcast. So then we could be that for, as many people as we can.
Yeah, no, it sounds like you guys fell into it really naturally. And Olivia, I know you're also a manifestation coach as well. So talk to me more about for you, like how that has segued into what you do outside of this as well.
Yeah, I mean, I started my manifestation journey because I heard the quote, you have the power to create your own reality, right? You have the power to create your own reality. And I was like, that's not true. Like, what do you mean? And I kind of got into manifestation and self-development and doing my inner child healing and my shadow work kind of at the same time, and realized the more that I level up inside, right? The more that I leveled up my self-concept and released my trauma and all that stuff, the easier it was to manifest. And I started feeling so good. So confident, so, sure about being able to dream big and being able to call in my manifestations. And I was like, oh, I need to teach other people how to do this. Like, I didn't even know mindset coaching, manifestation coaching. I didn't even know that was a thing. But I was like, I need to tell other people about this. So getting into coaching was really awesome because I was able to kind of see very directly that if you are taking the advice that I'm telling you, if you're doing the things that I was doing for myself, you are getting results. You're starting to feel better. You're starting to manifest more things. You're starting to love yourself more. And so coaching has been very cool because it's a little bit more intimate. You kind of get to see the details of people leveling up. And then podcasting is very similar, but you just don't get quite as much, interaction, like that one-on-one interaction. But it's ultimately trying to tell people the exact same thing.
No, I absolutely love that. I think that speaks a lot to the energy you guys both have and just everything you talk about on the podcast. But, you know, going from there, so like I definitely want to address the elephant in the room, which is when it comes to coaching, when it comes to manifestation, a lot of people think it's woo-woo. They're like, oh, how can you just get whatever you want? Like the world doesn't work like that. You have to work hard. And we even see like people in positions of power saying this. So to a skeptic, like, what is your response to that? And they're like, oh, I got here by working really, really hard and sacrificing XYZ. But then we're here talking about, oh, well, you can dream big and have anything. So what is your opinion on that?
Well, I have something to kind of explain that of like, I didn't believe in manifestation either when I first started. Like, I did not believe it. I didn't think it was real, but I just let myself try it out, you know, and that's what we recommend to other people is just to try it out. Like try, you know, dreaming a little bit bigger. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to start off your manifestation journey, you know, trying to manifest $1 million or, you know, your huge mansion or whatever it is. But you can just start off your journey just thinking a little bit more positively, being a little bit kinder to yourself, or, you know, being like, okay, today, you know, is going to be at least a decent day. You don't even have to say it's going to be the best day ever, but you'll be like, you know what, today isn't going to be horrible, you know, and just kind of starting off small, and you can prove to yourself that manifestation works pretty quickly because it does. And when you do set your intentions, when you do let yourself, you know, make a vision board or whatever it is, make that small little step, you're going to start seeing results. And then you're going to build your trust in, you know, the manifestation process and build your trust in the universe or God or whatever higher power that you know, resonate with, I would say. What about you?
Yeah, definitely. I would say all things can be true, right? The same way that someone might have had to work really hard to get where they needed to be. There's so many examples of people being more mindful and like visualizing and manifesting and creating this dream reality and then having it come to fruition in their real lives and not having to work as hard, right? So just, I would say, going out and finding another truth and trying to remove those limiting beliefs. We have all these beliefs because society tells us that, yeah, you do have to go out, you have to work hard, you have to do X, Y, and Z to get your dreams. And you might not even get your dreams, but there's so many other people who experience the opposite. So trying to find examples of that to prove to yourself, hey, it really does work. And now it's cool because science is like proving / has proved for many years that manifestation is true and the observer effect is real and law of assumption is real. And if you put your mind to something and you decide that that's the truth, it will harden into fact.
No, I absolutely love that. I love what you said about being able to choose your reality, where like both things can be true. If you have the mindset of, well, I need to do X, Y, Z, then you're gonna have to do that. Versus you think you don't, then you're not gonna have to do that. And I feel like I've even had that experience in my own life, so I resonate with that so much.
Yeah.
Going into what you guys said about quantum physics and the science part of things, I'd love to dig a bit deeper there. So how have you guys kind of taken the science part of it and applied it into your own life as you are continuing to grow your podcast, make it the #1 global podcast and all the things? Like, how would you guys look at quantum physics and say, hey, we want to apply this into our own lives, and explaining it to someone maybe that isn't as familiar with it?
Yeah, totally. Well, there's, I guess, you know, with the science side of things, we teach a little bit about neuroscience and a little bit about like the quantum physics and quantum mechanics side of things as well. So touching on like the neuroscience first, really learning about how our brain constructs reality has been so confirming to, you know, of why you should be thinking big, of why you should be rewiring your mind to be kind to yourself and be your biggest fan. And, you know, learning a lot about the reticular activating system and how if you are imagining yourself, you know, getting your manifestations and maybe making a vision board and normalizing these things to your subconscious mind, you're priming your brain to be able to believe that's possible for you. And if you believe it's possible for you, you're going to start taking more action. You're going to be wiring into your mind of what to look for, because our reticular activating system filters out over 99% of reality. So you could be literally looking at, you know, a situation, or and maybe there's an opportunity brought to you where you can make a lot of money easily, or easily fall in love, or all these things. But if your brain is not wired to think that that's possible for you, you're going to reject it, or you're just not even going to see it. So kind of learning about the neuroscience has been really helpful to prove how important it is to rewire your mind, how important it is to regulate your nervous system, that type of thing. But then on the other side with quantum physics, It was very helpful to be able to learn about quantum physics and like quantum mechanics in my mind, because I do like to understand how things work. I'm like, well, how is that working if you're just like thinking about something and then it's being created in reality? So kind of just learning how quantum physics and quantum mechanics really have actually proved that our attention and our consciousness and our observation literally is affecting reality. And, we don't have to like dive too much into it and get too nerdy, but we also love learning about the theory of like there's infinite versions of reality. There's all versions of reality happening at all time. It's called the quantum field or the 5D, and how quantum physics kind of proves that what you are focusing on, your observation, your consciousness, is kind of selecting that version of reality and bringing it into form. From a potential to an actual form.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of learning about the science has been very helpful to prove and encourage us to be delusional, to be, thinking about the best case scenario, to, let ourselves get our hopes up and let ourselves dream big, because we learned, it's actually affecting reality outside of us, So I don't know if that exactly answered your question, but that's how it's helped me.
Yeah, I would definitely say the neuroscience is so cool to see and learn about, because we're never looking at the world as it is. We're only looking at the world as what we believe. And like Olivia was saying, like your reticular activating system, it's this part of your brain that works as a filter. So you're only taking in, right, like she said, less than 0.001%, right? So you're not even taking in truths. So when you start to soften your subconscious mind, when you start to rewire it and start to look for the more positive things in life, that's what you'll start to focus in on. Your brain will be like, oh, I understand now what you want to look for. Now I'm going to go out of my way to find scenarios that look like that. Right. And so it's like really important to be listening to positive content, like Brown Girl Unscripted, like Inspired Delusions. It's good to be saturating your mind with things that you want to align with things that you want to believe, right? Because we can pick our truths. So yeah, things like that. The neuroscience has been so helpful. And then, the quantum science has been so great, because like Olivia was saying, we don't need to get too into it, but the multiverse, you're already out there living. There's versions of you already out there living your dream life. So why would you not also strive for it?
Yeah, no, that is so sick. Wait, quick question. Were you guys really into the multiverse when you guys were growing up as well? Like, watching Marvel and all those things? Or is this like something, I'm curious, because I feel like you guys both sound really interested in that. And I'm wondering if it's like a long-standing interest as well, because I get that.
Yes, Marvel growing up, definitely. And the multiverse. I remember in school once I asked, when I was really young in history class, I was like, well, how do we know that we're not the past too? Because we're looking at these books and we're looking and reading the past, but how do we not know, or how can we prove that people aren't doing that to us? And so I remember having that thought as a young kid. So I'm like, oh, of course, now here I am being like, well, people are probably looking at us in the history books right now.
Time isn't real.
Yeah. We're all over, we're everywhere and everywhere all at once.
No, I love that. It's also so funny how like all these things weren't really considered valid until like in the past couple of years, but like now with AI and like quantum computing, all those things coming to life, everyone's like, oh, so there actually are alternate realities. All this stuff is real, and it's really cool to see all that kind of coming to fruition in like the modern day world as well. What has that kind of been like? I mean, you guys are based in Cali, so like for you, like talking about these things, do you feel like these things are talked about a lot there, or like what's sort of the scene there when it comes to these topics and talking about it?
That's a really good, hilarious question, because I would say that is kind of part of the reason why I wanted to move to LA, because I knew like so many people here are into wellness, are into spirituality, manifestation. I remember one of the first times I visited Los Angeles, I went on a hike and I like passed by these two girls and they were like, yeah, so tonight I'm going to do like a full moon ritual and get witchy and like and stuff. And I was like, I was like, these are my people. But yeah, so your question was kind of just asking, are a lot of people into this stuff out in Los Angeles? So yes, I would say totally. So many people are into it. I would say there's not very many people that you meet that, aren't at least open to or interested in like talking about their star sign or talking about, spirituality or manifestation. I would say most people that we come into contact with are pretty into this stuff, or at least open to it. But I do think that kind of goes along with who you attract, you know, who you are attracting into your life in general. You know, like we are very into this stuff. So I think we just naturally attract more people from an energetic sense that are also into this, into manifestation and, you know, healing and all of this type of stuff.
No, I totally feel you. What has it been like kind of separating the things that are actually real when it comes to like spirituality manifestation versus something that is like, for instance, I'm sure you guys have seen on TikTok, for example, there's 13-year-olds writing a guy's name like 50 different times trying to manifest a guy in that way. So when we talk about quantum physics, manifestation, we know obviously that's not necessarily how it works. Like, how have you guys kind of separated the things that like are actually real, working, etc., and then learn to weed out the things that maybe aren't as helpful or maybe even right to do when it comes to the quantum world?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I think my number one rule and the advice we give people is take what resonates and leave what doesn't. I've also learned through neuroscience that manifestation is really just the softening and the rewiring of your subconscious mind. So, you know, the scripting out 50 times somebody's name, maybe that works, maybe that doesn't. But I would say like maybe writing out your affirmations of self-love and really getting clear on that and really rewiring that into your mind, or, you know, reminding yourself that you're worthy, saying your affirmations, doing your mirror work, meditating, EFT tapping, like all of these are just different modalities and tools to really put into your mind whatever beliefs you're trying to implement, right? And so I don't know. I think, yeah, right. I've never written out a list of, you know, the guy I'm trying to manifest 50 different times, but I've definitely scripted other things 50 times that have manifested because I normalize it to my brain. I'm looking at it, you know, I'm taking pen to paper, I may be saying it out loud, I'm visualizing it in my mind, and then it does come into fruition.
Yeah. And I mean, I think, you know, with that example specifically, we always redirect any questions that are asking, you know, how to manifest a boy or manifest an ex or all this stuff. That's a very common question. It's very common. It's a very popular way that people get into manifestation. You know, so it's like, okay, if that's how you need to get into manifestation, totally fine. But ultimately it really does all come back to how you view yourself, right? Like if you're writing down this boy's name 1,000 times, like, oh, he loves me, you know, this person, you're putting your focus on externally. You're putting your focus on someone else instead of putting your focus on yourself and realizing that you are the prize, you are amazing, you are always chosen, you are always adored. So it's like that's our common response to people who are kind of talking about that, you know, example specifically, where we're like, focus on yourself. You know, maybe instead of writing out someone else's name 1,000 times, maybe write down your name and being like, I am amazing, I am the prize, like I am chosen, that type of thing. We kind of always redirect people to focus on themselves and raise their self-concept first.
Right. I also will say though, whatever you believe is the truth. So if someone's maybe scripting out that way and they believe it's true and they say it works, it might be because they really believe that so deeply.
True.
So
yeah, I never thought about it like that, but you're so right. Yeah, if they believe that, then I think when I first saw it, to be totally honest with you, I just was a little bit concerned because you see like this teenage girl, I'm like, girl, focus on yourself, you know?
Yeah.
Obviously, like you said, self-concept, all those things are so important. But what is the craziest thing that you both individually have manifested, and what was sort of your process in getting there? I'm curious to hear those stories.
Ooh. I'll start with that because at the beginning of this year, so at the end of last year, I was making my vision board for 2025, and I remember putting on a picture of like Roxy Nafusi because she teaches manifestation and she went on Good Morning America, and I was like, oh, that'd be so cool to like go on TV. I found another person that talks about manifestation, and I remember putting that on my vision board, and I remember clicking it and being like, oh wait, I should delete this because like that's too delusional. Like there's no way I'm gonna go on TV like, you know, next year, like that would be crazy. And I specifically remember being like, no, you know what? My whole brand is being delusional. My whole brand is thinking big and letting myself get my hopes up. So I kept that on, and I ended up quitting my corporate job at the very beginning of the year. And then a week later, a TV show reached out to have me on, and they flew me out to New York, and I went on national television to do a segment on being delusional and manifestation. So I would say that's probably one of the craziest things. And overall, like how, you know, our podcast growing really, really fast has been really cool too.
Yeah. I love that. I love that story. I especially love like how you almost took it off and then you're like, no, let me just put it on because why not?
Yeah.
The universe isn't on a budget.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's
Um,
yeah. What about you?
I've manifested dream jobs and I've done it by getting really clear on the feelings I would want to feel at this job
Mhm.
and really honing in on that. And then secondly, getting clear on, okay, I want to get paid this much and I want to be working at this, in the past, like hospital or under this boss or this. And I think I've gotten almost all of them exactly how I wanted to.
Wait, that is so iconic. I think, everyone should manifest their dream job. I love it.
Yeah. I think the trick in manifesting anything really is the feelings, understanding what you believe this outcome is going to bring you and getting clear on those feelings and then trying to find a way to feel them in the present moment.
Mhm.
And I believe that really attracts your manifestations to you.
Yeah. What would you say are the ways to get to that feeling? So say, for instance, someone is manifesting a dream vacation, wanting to get married, a job, a career, going on national television. How do you embody those feelings for my viewers watching? If you in a current space are just like, you're not doing good, you're unhappy, lots of things like from like the 3D are making you feel like you need to complain. How would you then go internally and tell yourself, no, like I want to feel these feelings when it just feels really difficult to and you don't want to?
Well, I think that something's that's really helpful for being able to, visualize your goals is, well, first, okay, a couple of things that can make it a little bit easier. Doing something like a guided visualization is really helpful for you to kind of bypass your conscious mind of thinking, oh, like, how is this going to happen? That's not possible. If you're getting really calm and maybe doing like a guided visualization, guided meditation, or self-hypnosis, something like that, where you're like visualizing your future, that helps you kind of, go into these slower brainwave states, calm your body down so you can actually visualize these amazing things a little bit easier. So that's kind of my suggestion for a lot of people, and or even like looking at a vision board or looking at your Pinterest board right before you start to visualize. So you can kind of like have that right on the top of mind. So it's easier to visualize. I also suggest, trying to bring up feelings of gratitude, when you're trying to think about your future life and feeling grateful for receiving everything that you want and visualizing yourself being there and feeling really, really grateful for that before it's even here. Super, super key to drawing that to you even faster. But, you can start off those feelings of gratitude by just really trying to find anything in your current life that you can be grateful for. And that could be simple as like, if you have a bed to sleep on, or if you have a roof over your head, or if you have access to some food or water, things like that, where it doesn't have to be this huge, like, oh, I have to be grateful for, my bank account or something like that. It's like, and you don't have to force it, right? But things that you genuinely are grateful for that maybe you have taken for granted, and really focusing on things that you're grateful for now gets you into that state of receivership. It gets you into being able to call in and visualize that dream life a lot easier, I would say.
Yeah. Whenever I have moments of fear or doubt or I'm not feeling well, I try to disrupt those thought patterns. And I usually try to do that by moving my body. So putting on a song that I love that's going to get me up and dancing and shaking, that kind of thing, that typically gets me out of that feeling. Because music is literally frequency, right? It can literally change how you're feeling at any given moment, whether that's a positive song, whether that's a sad song. Try to disrupt my thought patterns by listening to a song that I like that will get me up and dancing. And then also rampages, positive rampages on YouTube. I'm a big fan of Abraham Hicks rampages, as well as Louise Hay rampages. Listening to them, they make you feel so good. They really instill into you that, the universe is bending everything for you to get exactly what you want, that life is so good, that you're so blessed. All you have to do is ask and wait to receive. And, hearing that and listening to the positivity, listening to the rampage really makes me feel a lot better. And then from there, once I'm in a better state, like Olivia said, meditating. I think meditation is key, especially when you're in those slower brain waves. The visualization, you can manifest anything.
No, I love that. I personally do the music thing a lot, so I totally get it. I feel like it really is frequency, and if you just put on a song that makes you feel sexy, good, just like very in your body, because I think I've definitely learned that over time, emotions and feelings aren't just in your head, it's like in your body, and like you need to feel like the positivity in your body before anything else. Even processing like negative things, I feel like that's so important.
Totally.
What are the things that you guys do when it comes to like a routine perspective, like taking these sort of tips in? Like, do you guys have a specific routine you do, or how do you make sure that you're at the frequency that you'd like to be for a big day, like a big meeting, things like that?
Mm. Well, I always try to start my morning off with doing something positive. So, something that we teach and talk about a lot is how when we first wake up, our brain is our subconscious mind is very suggestible, very malleable. We're in that theta brainwave state for a little bit before we like fully wake up. And
Yeah.
so really utilizing that time to start your day off right, making sure you're not waking up and immediately, checking your phone or scrolling or checking social media is a huge hack, so using that time positively, like maybe listening to affirmations or meditating or doing EFT tapping. Those are kind of things that I do in the morning to start my day off right. And if I start my day off right, the rest of my day typically ends up being a lot better. But I try to, maybe do affirmations throughout the day. I'm kind of, in the past, I would do more intentional affirmations, but now my inner dialogue is just generally very positive. So I'm kind of naturally doing those affirmations throughout the day, kind of reassuring myself, telling myself I'm amazing, maybe doing a little bit of mirror work, looking in the mirror and telling myself I'm amazing or beautiful or whatever. And then I try to, maybe look at my vision board or look at my goals throughout at least, once a day to kind of keep getting clear on that and keeping that in the top of my mind. And then in the evening, I don't always, but sometimes I'll maybe like put on a guided visualization, or I'll just listen to music I really like and spend time kind of visualizing my future. But yeah, I think that's generally my kind of manifestation routine, maybe doing a little bit of journaling or scripting or, doing like a gratitude list is really, really amazing as well.
Yeah, we have pretty similar routines, as well as we made like customized routines for our community members. But yeah, just I prefer front loading my day. If I wake up and while I'm in those lowered theta brainwaves, I'm doing my meditations, I'm doing my affirmations that I say to myself, I'm telling myself that today is going to be an amazing day, that I can do it, and I'm strong and I'm brave, and everything will always works out for me. My brain dumps, my scripting, I like, documenting in my journal. I like reading a couple pages or chapters of any book that is going to uplift me and give me hope and strength throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then throughout the day, I'd like to say my mantras. One that I'm currently obsessed with is galore, galore. I have everything I need and more. I say that throughout the day, whether that's out loud or just whispering it in my mind. I have my vision board as my screensaver, so I'm constantly looking at what I want out of life. But yeah, I think anybody who's new to this, starting off with a good morning routine and or night routine, you don't have to do everything at once.
Mm-hmm.
Just one thing, pick one thing that you can consistently start to soften that subconscious mind with, start to reprogram the beliefs that you want to have is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I personally do the wallpaper thing, and I feel like it does wonders because you're looking at it and like when your brain's not even focused, and that's the best way. I totally get that.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
going to the point you made about like what beginners should be able to do, a lot of the audience we have here at Brown Girl Unscripted are people figuring their careers out, maybe their early career, all the things. What would you say for someone who is manifesting like their next job, their next business move, things like that, and it feels like things are moving slower than they expected when it comes to detaching from the 3D? Like, what is your number one tip for that?
If things are moving slower, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, things are moving slower. So like a lot of people will DM me like, oh, it's hard for me to start my business, get this investor or get a job, like things of that sort, right? And so what would you say for someone like that where they might not like this just start the manifestation journey, but they're not really sure how to keep on I guess seeing their vision in a way that fuels the manifestation they want?
Yeah, I mean, Olivia and I can relate to this. being first time entrepreneurs, it's definitely a spiritual journey. You really have to believe in yourself and trust in yourself no matter what you're seeing in the 3D. But something that Olivia and I generally ask ourselves and tell other people to ask themselves is, what can I learn in this moment? What is it teaching me? Is there a reason why things are going so slow? Maybe if I got everything I wanted and more tomorrow, I wouldn't be able to handle it at that capacity. My nervous system wouldn't be able to take it on. So what is there right now that my future self or the universe or source or God is trying to get me to strengthen in this moment in order to get all my dreams?
Yeah, totally. And then I would say too, something that we teach our clients, we kind of have like a formula that we teach, which is our 3R formula, which is recognize, rewire, and regulate. Maybe you've heard us talk about that. But I would say like if someone's trying to manifest something and it's not coming in, I would check those 3 areas, right? I would recognize first. I would do recognize and be like, okay, do you have any limiting beliefs that are currently holding it back? Do you have any subconscious beliefs that are holding it back? If you're manifesting money, but if you have a subconscious belief that it's hard to make money, or rich people are evil, or, I'm not gonna be able to handle this money when it comes, you're gonna be subconsciously blocking it or self-sabotaging it or kind of holding it away, right? And so that's where, recognizing where those beliefs are, rewiring those beliefs of telling yourself it is okay, telling yourself it's safe, maybe doing, some shadow work or, some EFT tapping, things like that. And then I would also check the last R, which is regulate, because you don't need to, but it's very helpful for receiving your manifestations and calling them in quicker and being able to hold them when your nervous system is regulated, right? Because that's a huge part of that a lot of people miss, because a lot of people don't understand that our body is actually really, really affecting not only our mindset, but our frequency, our overall frequency. If you're dysregulated, that's a very shaky frequency to be sending out to the universe, right? And if you're dysregulated, your body's going to be sending signals to your mind that, large amounts of money, for example, isn't safe for your body, right? If your body doesn't feel safe receiving that, it's going to also reject it. So, like what Kayma was saying, absolutely. But then there's also things that you can do to kind of check to see if you've like hit all these boxes. Because if not, then maybe you're kind of subconsciously holding it back.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And to your specific point about going back to the 3 Rs, as women of color, I know like for a lot of people who look like us, like this sort of thinking is not always encouraged. It's like more so on the scarcity level. For you guys, persisting in this mentality, have you ever felt like you've kind of been the only ones who think in this way when maybe when you weren't living in California or otherwise? Like, I'd love to hear about your experience when it comes to that.
I'll start because I remember when I first started getting into this stuff, I was living in Dallas, but then I moved to New York. And I remember talking to like a couple of my friends about, I didn't even fully understand what I was even saying. I was like, quantum physics, like there's infinite versions of reality. We're switching between different versions. Like I was just kind of talking. And I specifically remember my friends being like, oh, like really thinking I was kind of crazy.
Oh my God.
But they were being nice and at least listening to me. But so I remember getting into this, like getting into all of this stuff and people looking at me kind of weird. But ultimately, a lot of those people that I kind of started talking to about it, they kind of ended up circling back a few years later and being like, wait, you have manifested your whole life. Your whole life has changed. Like this stuff really does work. And they start being more open to it. And that's what we kind of describe and give people advice of. If you are the only person in your family, the only person in your community that is starting to learn about manifestation and everyone else is kind of looking at you kind of crazy, it's okay for other people not to believe it. It's okay for other people to, tell you to be realistic or tell you, to play it safe, because they're just playing by their own rules. They're just going by their own limitations. They don't know about the universal laws. They don't know that, your attention influences your reality. They don't know that manifesting is real. So it's okay if you start off your journey and don't necessarily find anyone else that's into this stuff. But yeah, you can find like-minded people, whether it's like listening to podcasts like this, or joining communities, or maybe even like joining groups in your local area that are into healing and mindfulness and manifestation. Like, there really are groups out there. There really are so many people out there that are interested in this stuff and interested in every single topic. And with the internet and with being able to connect to other people, it's an easier time than ever to find other like-minded people.
I just also want to congratulate you, because it's so impressive that you have a podcast as well. And, we have it too. And we definitely do have it with the intention to inspire other Black and brown people and let them know that we have voices, and, we should be in these spaces as well. And it's so important to let other Black and brown people know that they also have a space in this space as well, and they are worthy of living their dream life and manifesting everything. And you're not alone, essentially. And like Olivia said, there are a lot of groups that you can look for, especially virtually. We're so lucky to be able to connect virtually through like podcasts or groups or this or that, and see people who look like you who also believe in this, because they're definitely out there.
Yeah.
No, literally, I totally agree with that. And that's really kind of you to say as well. I'm really glad that we got the chance to connect. And honestly, I was just really excited to have you guys on, because I feel like we don't see as many Black and brown women in this community talking about this in a way that's like everything comes easily. And I mean, my audience, you guys listening to this, I feel like that's something I always want to emanate with all the content I put out, where, you don't need to struggle to have what you want. I think we're fed this narrative that you need to struggle, work hard, but like, take aligned action and just think about what you want, and then leave the rest to like the universe, God, whatever you believe in, because genuinely speaking, you don't need to suffer. That's fake in my opinion. I don't believe in suffering.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. We don't need to suffer. And sometimes, I mean, I think systematically we're taught that, but also I think people teach you that out of love, because they're scared themselves and they only believe that that's the right way. But it's not. We can change our beliefs at any time, and we can, I mean, I want to live, and I also want to encourage everyone around me to live a life of ease. And that's my truth.
No, I love that. So I end off each episode asking all my guests, what is one thing that you could go back and you could wish you could tell your younger self? What would that thing be?
Ooh, I think I was just thinking about this, and I was like, I probably would say to start EFT tapping sooner, because that's such a cool, like, that's such a effective tool to be able to release your beliefs. I didn't really start doing it consistently until more recently. But are you talking about like way younger self, like little kid self, or?
Like, I would say like high school, middle school, like that in between age. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. Then let me get a little deeper. I would probably say that, your authentic self is worthy and is going to be accepted, because that was something that I felt really scared about for a long time, like growing up, of feeling like I couldn't be authentic. I couldn't be vulnerable. I had to kind of pretend like I had everything together and pretend like my home life was normal and perfect, and didn't let myself kind of express that in a way. So I would probably go back and tell myself that, your authentic self is safe and worthy and loved.
Oh, wait, that's so cute.
Sweet. Yeah.
That is sweet. I'd probably tell my younger self to just be present. It all works out. No matter what decision you make, it's not a wrong decision. It's what's meant to be. Whatever you desire, whatever's on your heart, you're going to get. So just stay present and have fun. Follow your joy.
Wait, I love this. These are both things that everyone needs to hear. So y'all listening to this, make sure you take these nuggets of wisdom and incorporate them into your life. And as always, thank you guys so much for coming onto the podcast. I really appreciated this conversation. And I'll make sure to include y'all's links and everything so the audience can check it out, and your community. Like I said, you have some fun digital products and memberships. So y'all get on their membership. They have some gems, and you want to. Thank you again for watching. To the audience, make sure you hit the subscribe button, follow, make sure you rate the podcast, because I want to know what you guys like, what you don't like. Leave some comments for me, and go check out Inspired Delusions as well, because if you got to support Brown Girl Unscripted, you're going to support Inspired Delusions as well. That being said, I love you guys, and have an amazing rest of your week. Bye.
Bye.